called Jenna Feland.
I do solemnly swear the testimony you may now give to me before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Good afternoon, Ms. Feland. Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Yeah, it's Jenna Feland, Jenna-Feland.
Okay, now, when you're on the witness stand there, you have to answer audibly. So I know that you're shaking your head at me and
Yes.
such, but you'll need to say yes or no and avoid any kind of nonverbal communication because the lady right next to you has to take everything we say down.
Okay.
So, Ms. Feland, where are you from?
Originally, I was born in North Dakota, but I moved to Colorado when I was about 6, so I would consider myself from Colorado.
Okay, so you grew up in Colorado?
Yes.
And while you were in Colorado, and did you meet a man by the name of Brandon Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you meet him?
We met up at Pingree Park. It's a Colorado State has a campus up in the mountains, and it's called Pingree Park, and we got a job together there.
Okay. At some point later, did you become romantically involved with Mr. Daniel?
Yes. My birthday was our anniversary, so July 15th of 2008 was when we were official together.
Okay. So you began dating Brandon in July of 2008,
Yes.
Is that right? All right. And how long did you guys date approximately?
3.5 years.
Okay. And some of that time was in Colorado?
Yes.
And some of that time was somewhere else?
The majority of it was in Colorado, and then the last part was in Texas, here in Austin.
Okay. So when you were in Colorado, what was Brandon doing while you guys were in a relationship after 2008?
Once we came back down from Pingree Park, he was working through the school at a couple different jobs. One of the jobs he worked helping disabled people with their computers, people that couldn't use their hands, or he would set up things to where they could move the mouse with their eyes or blow on something to control the computer. And then after that, he worked at the USDA.
Okay. Now, let me ask you, are you a little nervous?
Yes.
All right, that's understandable. Specifically, though, I was trying to get at, Brandon was in school at
Yes.
Colorado State University?
Yes.
Okay. And what were you doing at the time?
I was working at Pizza Hut, and I was in a Front Range Community College off and on to that time.
Is that in what city?
Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay. And at some point, were you guys living together?
Yes.
Okay. So you stated that Brandon worked at a time for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And what was he doing? Do you know with the U.S. Department of Agriculture?
He made graphical user interfaces for water tables. The best I can describe, they gave him graphs and numbers, and he put that into a computer, something that you could use and spin around and actually see the waterfall of different places around the earth.
Okay. And at some point, I take it that his schooling finished?
Yes.
When was that?
That was right before we moved here. We moved here December of 2010, so he would have graduated that following spring semester, I think it was.
Why did you guys move to Austin?
He got a job at HP, Hewlett Packard.
Was that his first job out of college?
Yes, sir.
And how long, well, let me ask this, when you two moved here, you moved in together?
Yes.
Was that into an apartment, a house?
An apartment.
Where was that apartment?
It was Waters Park Apartments off of Palmer Lane.
Okay, was that the same apartment that he was living in at the time that he was arrested?
Yes.
Okay. At a time when y'all moved down here and you moved into that apartment, did you live by yourself or did you have a roommate?
When I moved out of that apartment?
No.
I'm sorry.
When you and Brandon moved in, it was just you two or somebody
Yes,
else?
it was just us two.
Okay. Now, at some point, how long did y'all what did you do when you got here?
I wasn't working for a long time. I didn't get a job until October, and we had moved that fall, the December right before that, so it had been about 8 months and I wasn't working. But then I got a job at Guitar Center in Round Rock.
All right, so did there come a time when you and Brandon began to have some difficulty in your relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think mostly it was because I wasn't working and he was paying for a lot of stuff. And so there was just kind of some tension. And we just kind of were spending a lot of time around each other, and I think that's kind of what, unsettled us a little. And I was wanting to kind of go out and do more things, and he's more likes to stay home and stuff, so I think it was...
Okay. So you say he likes to stay home. Did he work a lot?
Yeah, he worked all the time. That was his... Even when we had off time, he would always be studying his code for work or some side project that he was doing.
Okay. So now I want to talk a little bit about some of the details about, we've heard some testimony about some drug use. When you were in Colorado with Brandon, was there, did he use drugs at all while you guys were together?
Yes.
Okay. Was it marijuana or something more?
Mostly marijuana.
Okay.
In Colorado, it's legal now. It's a lot more acceptable, I guess. Kind of everybody up there, but we both smoked marijuana.
Did he do other kinds of drugs?
Yes.
What else did he do?
Acid or mushrooms or ecstasy.
Okay. Now, you mentioned specifically ecstasy. Was there a time when that became a problem for him, or was he always?
I thought it became a problem for him. It would go on he would do it every day, probably for almost a couple months, and I felt like it was affecting his personality. Like he would get kind of paranoid. So I felt like it was a problem only because of that.
But at some point, did he taper that down or stop that? Or
Yes, yeah, he did. And that's when he got more into work. He always said that he was going to buckle down, and that's what he always did. He would just buckle down and get back into it. So, but yeah, he quit.
So what about when you guys moved to Austin? When you guys were in Austin, did he use any ecstasy to your knowledge?
No, not before we broke up.
Okay. And but he still smoked, or?
Yeah, occasionally, but cut way back after he had graduated from college. He really liked his job, in the professional world, and so would, if we did smoke, just smoke after work, just as like a relaxant, but it wasn't hardcore, heavy duty every day.
What about alcohol? Did he drink a lot of alcohol, or?
We also cut way back when we came to Austin, and we only were drinking on the weekends. We used to drink more often. And he was doing such a good job with his work, and he was just really focused on his work and stuff. So we cut way back on our drinking as well.
Okay. Now let's go back to the time that you guys started having a problem. Did there come a time where you actually broke up?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say broke up, does that mean did you move out?
Yeah.
Okay. When was that? Do you remember?
I think it was early December of 2011.
Okay.
Or, yeah, late November.
Okay. So it wasn't by January 2012 you weren't together?
No.
Okay. Now, did you stay in contact with him after you broke up?
Yes.
Okay. Daily, every now and then?
At first it was daily, and then as it went on, maybe it was every couple days or once a week. But we both really wanted to put effort into it. We'd been together for so long that it was important to both of us that even if it was hard and we argued, that we wanted to stay friends, so that's what we did, even if it was hard sometimes.
Okay. So, what was he like after you broke up?
He wasn't doing very well. He was really sad. We both didn't take it very well. he was my first like real relationship, so I know I didn't do very well with it, but he was really sad and would tell me a lot that he was in a downward spiral. That was on multiple occasions.
He mentioned those
Drinking
specific
more.
words? Sorry, he mentioned those specific words to you?
Yes, downward spiral. A lot.
Okay.
And I knew, and I was, but yeah, and then he started to drink more again after we had cut back.
Okay. Do you know whether he started to do any other drugs?
Yeah, that Xanax, he had never taken Xanax when he was with me.
Okay, so let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
So, when you were together in Colorado, you said that he did some mushrooms and acid and ecstasy.
Yeah.
And smoked marijuana. But during that time that you were in Colorado together, he never did that.
Never.
Now, incidentally, with regard to that, when he was in Colorado, do you remember him ever working as an informant for one of the police departments down there?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember why he started working as an informant?
I think he may have gotten pulled over with some ecstasy in the car.
Okay. All right. But he wasn't on probation or did anything like that as a result of any of that?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So, now taking you back to that time you guys were apart, during this time that you learned he was starting to use Xanax, were you guys seeing each other, calling each other, texting each other? How was that relationship kept up?
We were calling and texting and seeing each other. We would hang out as much as we could because sometimes we would get together and we'd start fighting and, one of us would go back home again. But
is it fair to say that you missed each other during that time?
yes.
With regard to his behavior after you guys broke up, did that concern you at all? Also.
Well, especially because he kept telling me he was in a downward spiral, and earlier, like in a relationship, he had had some times where he would be depressed, but he'd always come back out of it. And I was just really worried about him mentally, and I mean, if he was doing okay, if he was starting to drink too much like we used to do, and yeah, I mean, I just worried about him all the time.
Okay. Do you remember, first of all, when was the last time that you spoke with Brandon prior to the night of April 6th?
I don't recall. We probably would have exchanged text messages before that, besides that text message that I got that night.
So the night of April 5th, you didn't speak with him?
No, not.
Okay.
I just got a text that.
Okay, so you mentioned that you got a text message.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember about what time of the night you got that text message?
Yeah, I think it was like 1:30, which would have been about an hour before.
Okay. You said it was about 1:30. Were you asleep or were you?
I was sleeping, yeah.
Okay.
So I missed it.
Okay. When did you first see the text?
That next morning, I believe, and I tried to call him, and he obviously didn't answer.
Okay. Before we talk about what the text said, why did you try to call him after you got the text?
If you read the text, I don't know if you guys have heard about the text. It was really incoherent, and I could tell he was really messed up at the time. And he always used punctuation and grammar. I know some people don't in text messages, but that's how we always texted back and forth. And I could tell something was wrong. And so...
Now, the text message specifically, we have heard it. So the text message that you specifically said, all I know is that 100, and he misspells years and puts yes. From now, period, from now, you remember my dreams, but that will be enough, just dreams. Life is pain, and then he spells pain, all caps, P-A-N-I. Is that the text that you were referring
Yes.
to? All right. And when he started talking about 100 years in dreams, how did you take that to mean?
since we had been, he kept wanting to reconcile and I hadn't. The way that I was, when I read the text originally, I just thought that he was saying kind of like, I know that you're gone, but you know, that even if we can't get back together, if all we have is each other in our dreams, then that would be enough. That he, yeah, just kind of wanted to let me know though that he still loved me, and that's how I took it.
Did you think that text was meant for you and something that had to do with your relationship, or
Yeah.
was it referring to something else?
No, I felt like it had to do with our relationship. Every other time we've ever texted or called or anything, we've talked about our personal relationship. So I would assume so.
And you showed that text to Detective Fugit?
Yes.
Voluntarily?
Yes.
Okay. Was that in response to him questioning you as to whether you heard from him or anything like that? You remember?
I don't remember. I think I just kind of volunteered it and said I did get a text from him maybe an hour before that night. Because it was concerning, and that's, I guess, the only reason I said something.
Okay. Just a minute. When he said, life is pain, is that something that he would have said, or did he?
Especially right around that time, him being in a downward spiral, this depression, like, it kind of was like everything that we talked about, you know? And so, yeah, it would have made perfect sense that life is pain. That was what he was going through at the time. You know, he didn't feel like he had anybody, and...
What do you mean by that? Why do you say he didn't feel like he had anybody?
Well, because, I mean, I kind of left him, you know, and he didn't really have a lot of friends besides, like, work friends. Yeah, I guess.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that there were times in your relationship when you would get depressed and come out of it. Talk a little bit about that depression issue.
It was, I could tell he was depressed a lot of the time. He didn't want to talk about it, when he just kind of would go more quiet and have times where he was just on his computer and he would just need time alone, and I would try to do that. But I also kind of wanted to figure out what was wrong, so I probably pestered him about it, you know.
Was that prolonged, or?
Sometimes for, yeah, weeks, like a week or two, and then it would kind of go away, but then it would kind of come back, and so I didn't know maybe if it was just,
Now, when I talk to you, or when you're talking, you seem like a very open person and kind of talkative. Is that about right?
Yes.
Okay. What about Brandon? Was he outgoing, reserved all the time, or what?
Yeah, reserved, always. I was always the talker, and he would just sit and hang out and listen, take it all in.
Did the guy express his emotions or anything?
No, hardly ever. We were together for 3.5 years, and he never did a lot, no.
We'll pass with it.
Is it pronounced Freeland?
Feland?
Freeland.
Yeah.
And I apologize if I mispronounced
It's,
it. Ms. Freeland, whose idea was it to sell this story for $100,000?
excuse me?
I'm sorry. Whose idea was it to sell Brandon Daniels' story for $100,000?
Oh, this is the first time I've heard of that.
Really?
Yes.
So when he said to you, a reporter, Tony Polheski with the Statesman, contacted me, and I wouldn't talk to him, but I should talk to him and charge him $100,000 for it. You don't remember that conversation?
No, I don't believe so.
And you don't remember saying back to him, no, you should ask for $1 million?
I don't remember that. Is that in the letter?
No, there was a phone conversation that we recorded.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't recall saying that, and I don't remember him saying that unless it would have been in jest or,
Well, in fact, after You said to him after you made the $1 million comment, you said, no joking, no kidding. We should ask for that.
Okay.
That's not familiar?
Unless I was saying it in jest and
You made it clear
sell the
you weren't
story.
joking.
Yeah, I'm not sure then. I don't remember saying that.
That doesn't sound like anything you would say, does it?
No, not specifically.
Would you
I'm
do
sorry.
anything for Brandon Daniels?
Yeah, emotionally, I know I've written that to him in letters. I've said I'd do anything for you, any money that he
I'm
needs
sorry,
sent.
did you hear my question?
Excuse me?
Did you hear my question?
Yes, emotionally I would, yes. I would be there in any way for him that I could possibly be.
Would you do anything for him?
Within my ability. I wouldn't break the law for him.
And you, of course, would lie for him.
I would not lie for him.
How long, during the time that after y'all broke up, that's when you started using Xanax? Is that
Yes.
correct? How often do you use Xanax?
I had only heard of him, he told me one other time that he had used Xanax before this incident now.
Okay, so you weren't talking about he all of a sudden started using Xanax all the time?
Yeah, no, I didn't. Oh, sorry.
No, but
Oh, I was just gonna say, he started to drink more and stuff like that, but I had only heard him, he told me a story one other time about the Xanax.
so you never saw him use Xanax?
No, I had never saw him use it.
He told you one other time?
Yes,
He had used Xanax?
yes.
And then he told you that he used Xanax on the night that he killed Jaime Padron?
I don't know if he told me that or if I was told that by every reporter in the newspaper that came out at the time. His roommate would have told me as well that he was on Xanax. But we never discussed the case. The first couple times I went to see him, I didn't talk about the case, so I don't.
I'm just trying to see when you made the statement about after y'all broke up, he started using Xanax.
Yeah.
Now I'm clear.
Apparently. That's what, I'm sorry.
Now it's clear to me that you were aware of him telling you one time,
Yes.
and you apparently have read in the paper or talked to somebody who you don't remember who.
Dante, his old roommate.
Not his present roommate, or his roommate back on April 6th, but a roommate before that?
No, that is his last roommate, Dante. Yeah. That's his name. His roommate's name is Dante.
Dante who?
I don't remember his last name.
But Dante, whose last name you don't remember, is the one who told you that the defendant had used
Yes.
him. You gotta wait for me to finish asking the question before you answer, okay? And you have to, in the answer, and say something as opposed to just nodding your head.
Okay.
So this Xanax use on the night in question, the night he killed Jaime Padron, you're basing his use that night on what Dante told you, is that correct?
Yes, his roommate at the time.
So Brandon Daniel didn't tell you he had used any Xanax that night?
No.
Okay. His roommate told you that?
Yes. And I believe they were together on that night before Brennan left.
You don't know that, do you?
No, if Dante was lying, no, I don't. Yeah, you're right.
So y'all broke up in, was it early January or late December? Or
It was late November, early December.
And y'all kept in contact on a fairly regular basis?
Yes.
How, by the end, by April of 2012?
Yeah.
How often were y'all in contact?
I don't think we saw each other during March. I know that we probably maybe once a week at that point in March. I remember we had plans to get together, I think to do something like a chili cook-off or something, and it just kept not materializing. But maybe once or twice a week during March, and then it happened so early in April, I don't really recall how often we talked before that in April.
Well, in March and February and January, y'all were talking once a week toward the end, is that what you're saying?
We talked a lot more frequently earlier on in the breakup, and then towards March, we talked a little bit less.
So his dating Nikki Nance didn't interfere with that?
No,
You didn't mind that?
no. I wanted him to be happy, and I generally wouldn't go over and hang out with both of them. I did once. It wasn't my favorite thing. But I wasn't going to let him. I was the one not wanting to get back together with him. And so if he wanted to go date somebody, I was happy for him. I just didn't want to have to be around that.
Sure.
And so, and that possibly then could have been why we didn't see each other as much around those times, because I just didn't want to be around that.
Well, that makes sense. You didn't want to be around him and his new girl.
Yeah.
Brandon Daniel doesn't have any mental illness, does he?
Not that I know of, never diagnosed with it.
You would have known. You gave him-
Oh, well, I thought you meant, has he ever been diagnosed with it? He has not been diagnosed. I'm not a doctor, but I asked him to go get help before for maybe some depression or,
After y'all broke up?
and before.
Was he, you think he was depressed about Nikki Nance?
No, I'm saying before and after we broke up. I always thought he kind of needed to go talk to somebody to see if he was depressed or had like an imbalance or something.
What kind of depression did he have?
What kind of depression? Just from what I saw, I don't, just these bouts of sadness that would last a week or so, and he would just get really closed off. And
Well, you, in January, February, March, you weren't seeing him anymore, right?
no, I did see him all those months. I'm saying when we first broke up, we were seeing each other and talking probably every day to every other day. And then during those, it got further and further apart. When we finally got to March, we didn't see each other in March, but we were in contact on the phone or text messages.
I'm just curious as to how you would know he was depressed for a week and you weren't seeing him.
Oh yeah, he would call me. I was saying before that we made an effort to be good friends, and that was, I was always there for him. It was like, if you need to call me or talk to me, or, so he did, or he would email me or, on Facebook. So we were in a lot of contact, and I knew how he was feeling, and, yeah.
So this is nothing you observed, this is what he told you.
It is what I observed. It is what I observed, and I guess in March, it would have been what he told me. I did observe him though in, December, January, February,
So in March, you didn't observe the depression in March that you observed.
that I observed, no.
Do you think he valued your friendship?
Yes,
When after he was arrested, he turned to you, didn't he?
yes.
And he relied on you to do things for him?
Not really. I don't think that there were a lot of things that he needed done for him that I could help him with.
Did you help move stuff out of his apartment or some of the?
Oh yeah, some of that stuff. Mostly though, what I took, he didn't ask me to go get this, it was things that I wanted because they reminded me of him, and I just didn't want him to get thrown away.
Do you feel that he valued you and the help you were giving him?
Not necessarily the help that I was giving him, but I do feel that he values my friendship. Yeah.
I apologize if I didn't get this right. So in Colorado, before y'all ever came to Texas, he was using, I think you said several different kinds of drugs, mushrooms, ecstasy, and was there something, acid?
Yes.
Was this while he was working as a undercover informant or something?
I believe so.
But he was using these drugs at that time?
Yes.
And you said these drugs were making him paranoid?
I think that the ecstasy was the acid and the mushrooms. I never saw a paranoia from him from those, but
You thought the acid made him paranoid?
the ecstasy.
I'm sorry, the ecstasy.
Yeah. But also, he did that every day. And he never really did the acid or the mushrooms every day, so there wasn't really a control that I could have seen, I guess.
So did he try to kill any police officers while he was under the influence of these drugs?
No,
He did not?
no.
Now, I have a video we're going to play.
Okay.
You have to refresh your memory
Okay.
about this, telling the story.
Okay.
And you recognize the person on the left?
Yes, that's me.
Who's that?
That is me, Jenna Feland.
Person on the right is right now?
That's Brandon.
And you did go over to the jail and make calls to him while you
Yes,
did.
multiple times. Yeah.
We're gonna play this, I want you to see it.
Okay,
This helps refresh your memory.
okay.
I'm going to object. This statement this has not been made, admitted into evidence, and he's trying to publish it to the jury right now.
I guess we can remove the jury and have her watch what she said is her statement to the defendant.
All right. The jury will be in recess for a moment. All right. Is there a portion of this that you're seeking to introduce, or the entirety of it?
There's actually a portion, but I don't remember where in the video.
Okay, well, if you would play it, let us know what portion it is.
Sure.
I know. Well, I can't believe she tried to come in here. So what happened? Or the reporter?
I just denied the visit, but he sent me a letter and everything, trying to get me to visit, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe after trial, I can say, give me $100,000 and I'll tell you my story.
I know, totally, or a bill. Not kidding.
Yeah.
Well, so how did you know it was the reporter that instead of,
That's
do
the
they say
portion.
the reporter?
I saw it.
One of the guards told me his name, and I just recognized it from the news.
Just, that's the point.
Okay. Is there objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right.
That hasn't been done.
Is it the mark?
71.
All right. And I'm assuming you all are offering that exhibit?
Yes,
That
sir.
portion of that exhibit?
Yes.
All right. And there's no objection to
No,
that
Your Honor.
portion? All right. Okay.
Ms. Feland, you don't think killing a police officer is a funny thing, do you?
No.
That's a pretty serious thing?
Yes.
Pretty serious charges
Yes.
against him? We're gonna go ahead and play this video
Okay.
now for the jury. Oh, I'm sorry. Your Honor, this states, we moved to admit state 71.
71, the portion that we reviewed.
Yes, sir.
And as previously stated, Your Honor, we have no objection.
All right, that portion is admitted.
May we publish?
We may.
I know. Well, I can't believe she tried to come in here. So what happened? Or the reporter?
I just denied the visit, but he sent me a letter and everything, trying to get me to visit, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe after trial, I can say, give me $100,000 and I'll tell you my story.
I know, totally, or a bill. Not kidding.
Yeah.
Well, so how did you know it was the reporter that instead of,
Well,
do they say it was the reporter?
one of the guards told me his name, and I just recognized it from the news.
What did you have?
Yes.
So, whose idea was to tell the story?
I guess it sounds like it was Brandon's.
You seemed like you thought that was a good idea.
I was trying to, I was laughing kind of through the whole thing. Sometimes when I went in there to visit him, it's not a laughing matter, I know, but I would try to buoy his spirits a little bit. He has enough to think about, so if we can take a 20-minute phone call a day and I can make him laugh or something, I guess that's not okay to do, and I know it's not funny to joke about, and I wasn't trying to joke about that. I was trying to take his mind off of it for the 20-minute phone call that we had, and that's what I did.
Did y'all have some kind of plans to have a secret code so y'all could send letters back and forth that we wouldn't be able to understand what was on
I
the
did
phone?
not.
He did? though,
Yes,
right? And he sent this code to you?
yes,
correct? But you weren't part of any plan?
no.
What did you do once you got the letters with the code instructions?
I never did anything with him.
When y'all broke up, was it that he asked you to leave?
Originally, it was that he had asked me to leave, and then,
Just a second.
oh, I'm sorry.
So when y'all broke up, you moved out. That was because he asked you to move out, is that correct?
Yes,
All right. When you were with him, y'all lived together,
yes,
you wanted to have friends outside of your relationship.
Yes.
I don't mean to suggest anything about that, just social friends.
yes.
He did not want you to have social friends, did he?
I think mostly not male friends. He was kind of jealous. I was jealous, just as jealous. We were young, I guess.
My question to you is, as you wanted to have friends, that
Yes.
he did not want you to have, you say he didn't want you to have male friends,
He would have let me. It's not, I don't think that he didn't want me to have friends.
but he would have given you permission to have friends?
I would have had permission to do whatever. I didn't have to have permission to do anything. We probably would have just ended up fighting about it. I don't think I harbored this will that I had no, or this wish that I had no friends or no male friends. I think it just made him jealous, and we would have fought about that.
And probably was just a second. The thing that ever discussed with you that it was something like Ambien that made him do this?
No,
You never had a discussion about Ambien with him?
I don't believe so.
Do you ever do any research for him on the effects of Ambien?
No, I don't believe so. I have done research on the effects of Xanax.
What other kind of research have you done?
That's about it. I've also researched some of, like, the jail systems in Texas.
The research you did on Xanax,
Uh,
did you provide information to Brandon Manning?
I don't believe so. If I did, it was that he might like that information.
Have you heard he was on anything else?
Alcohol, tequila, specifically.
Where did you hear that?
Dante, who was hanging out with him that night.
So you heard from Dante that he was on Xanax and also tequila?
Yes, and I saw the bottle.
You heard from Dante that he was on Xanax and also tequila?
Yes, and I saw the bottle.
Seeing the bottle doesn't necessarily
You're right.
tell you anything, does it?
No.
You saw the bottle in his apartment?
Yes.
And because of that, you know that in addition to...
No, I don't know that.
You
You're right.
know, I'm sorry?
I said you're right.
Well, let's just assume with you
Okay.
that he was on Xanax and tequila.
Okay.
You think he was on a lot of tequila?
Yeah.
How much you think he had that night? Well, based on what Dante told you,
Half bottle, a significant amount.
which is a great deal amount of
Yeah.
tequila, right? Did you research the effects of tequila and Xanax being mixed?
No, I did not.
Did you have any discussion with Brandon Daniels about that?
I don't believe so.
And what else do you think he was on that night?
That's all I had heard.
No, I'm going to object to this. This calls for speculation on her part.
She speculated while being direct examined by the defense about the Xanax and the other things he was on that night.
I think she's answered the question.
So you also are speculating that he was depressed that night?
Yes.
And that's based upon one text message that he sent to you?
And all of our previous interactions since we had broken up.
I thought I understood you to say that you had not been in contact with him in the last month.
No, I had not been in physical contact with him. We did continue to text and to call each other. We just didn't see each other in March.
And so there was a text in March.
Yeah, and calling, Facebooking, emailing.
Did you ever have a conversation with Nikki Nance about whether he was depressed?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. The answer calls for hearsay.
The question was a yes or no question. And I think she answered that.
Your answer is that you did not have a conversation with Nikki Nance, is that correct?
Yes.
Then you have anything else you want to add? Thank you very much, Ms. Steve. Your Honor, I'll pass you with.
Okay.
Yes, Ms. Feland, let me ask you a couple of questions.
Okay.
You'd stated that you had had several conversations with Dante
Yes.
about Brandon drinking that night,
Yes.
correct? But you never had any conversations with Brandon about him drinking that night, had you?
No.
Okay, so Brandon didn't tell you he was drinking?
No.
Okay. Dante did?
Yes.
You know Dante to be also known as Kelvin Davis?
Yes.
That's Brandon's roommate at the
Yes.
time, correct?
Yes. I forgot his real name.
But that's the nickname everybody calls him?
Dante, yes.
Now, I just want to make sure that the jury understands, when we talked earlier, you never said to the jury that he had told you he'd used Xanax on several occasions, right?
No, yeah.
He told you about it how many times?
Just that one time earlier, and then the time, I guess, the night that it happened, but he didn't tell me that. So I guess I had assumed
So,
he had used it that night.
so he told you about it once,
Yes.
and then you heard from several sources that he had used Xanax that night,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
All right. You had spoke about, and I want to clear this up.
Okay.
The prosecutor tried to jumble it up some.
Okay.
So let's clear it up. You said, you talked about his depression. When you were talking about his depression, were you talking about his depression just from the time that you guys broke up or throughout your relationship?
In our entire relationship.
And one of your responses to the prosecutor's question was that he would have bouts of sadness that would last a week.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
about a week.
Yes.
And that was in Colorado?
Yes.
And that-
Our entire relationship.
Okay. And it would go on and off like that?
Yes.
So with regard to the research that you did on Xanax,
Uh-huh.
did you do that at your own or at anybody's request?
At my own request.
Why is that?
I was curious about it, to be honest.
Because of Brandon's situation?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think I ever would have just had a wild hair and just started Googling it. Yeah, it made me curious, and so I looked at it.
Is that the same reason that you researched Texas prisons and such?
Yes, yes.
But that wasn't in Brandon's direction?
No, it was because I,
That we saw today?
okay.
Okay? It lasted less than 15 seconds, and it was kind of in passing with reference to a visit he had with some reporter who wanted to talk to him, right?
Yes.
And he said something, did you take that as him being serious that he wanted
No.
to tell the story?
No, and I was laughing, and I wouldn't have laughed along and said, seriously, for $1 million. And I did afterwards say, no, I'm not kidding, as I'm laughing. It was
Yeah,
a
but
figure of speech, I guess.
you watched it, right?
Yes.
How long did it last? A couple seconds?
Yeah.
All right. So, did you take Brandon to be serious about that?
No, sir.
Were you serious about it?
No.
Throughout this Tom, it's fair to say that you remain friends with Brandon.
Yes.
You ride him.
Yes.
Okay. But you've moved on with your life, though.
Yes.
Okay. So, it's fair to say you still feel something for him? None further.
So when you say you would do anything for him, you don't include lying for him?
No.
No?
No.
You recall giving testimony from the, you're in there, do you recall giving testimony from the Travis County grand jury?
I do.
Hold it just a second.
Oh, sorry.
On April 13th of 2012?
Yes.
You recall being placed under oath in front of
Yes.
that grand jury and
I
being
do.
told that, explain to you what perjury and what's aggravated perjury?
Yes.
You understood that, didn't you?
Yes.
You were intelligent enough to understand what it means if you're going to commit perjury
Yes.
in that environment.
Yes.
You remember being asked in the grand jury if you were aware of any kind of mental illness issues that Brandon Daniel had?
And I would have said no, not diagnosed.
You would have said the truth, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you say to the grand jury when you were asked that? Let me tell you the question you were asked.
Okay.
To be clear on that.
Sure.
Has he ever had any kind of mental problems or mental illness? Mental problems or mental illness? You recall being asked that?
I was asked a lot of questions. I was probably,
What answer did you give when you were on oath to that question?
I don't remember. I don't really remember the question either.
Well, let me show you
Okay.
your transcript,
Okay.
your sworn grand jury testimony given on April 13th of 2012.
Okay.
And this is on page 40 of your grand jury transcript,
Yeah.
line 3.
Yes.
The question from the prosecutor, I think it was Bill Bishop, person in there, this man here.
I remember you. I don't remember him specifically.
The question, has he, being Brandon Daniel, ever had any kind of mental problems or mental illness? And what is your response?
Not from my knowledge.
You made no mention about him being depressed or having any kind of depression issues, did you?
I don't remember. It was a while ago. I don't know why I wouldn't have, unless you were not asking. Like I was saying earlier, I'm not a doctor, and even earlier when I was saying that I thought he was depressed or that he dealt with bouts of depression, that's just from what I've seen. So in this, when I said not from my knowledge, I know he's never seen a doctor or been diagnosed with anything like that.
You were later specifically asked those doctor-type questions, but this
Yeah.
one here was asking, has he ever had any kind of mental problems? It wasn't asking you to give your medical diagnosis.
Okay, maybe I misunderstood the question.
You think that's what it was?
I think so. Otherwise, I would have just, like I said here today.
If you would have given different testimony to the grand jury than what you told this jury here today.
Absolutely not.
Because-
I would have, I guess I thought you guys were asking me if any doctors had taken a look at him.
We did ask you that
Yeah,
also.
okay. So I guess I should have told you that I didn't understand the question properly.
Well, or if the answer was that he had not had any mental problems or mental issues, then you should have given the answer you gave, if that's the correct answer. right?
And he's never been diagnosed with any problems like that.
And you would have thought that depression was not an issue for you to mention in the grand jury?
I didn't know for sure if he was depressed or not.
Well, you mentioned it regularly enough today. didn't you?
Yeah.
Any other kind of issues?
I don't think so. But again, I'm not a doctor. I don't know. I don't know if he has any other types of issues or not.
So, did you say when did he go into this downward spiral?
After the breakup was the downward spiral that we were speaking of.
So after he asked you to leave, he goes into a downward spiral.
He also asked me to stay after that. He told me to leave. Okay.
So after he asked you to leave, he goes into the downward spiral. Is that correct?
He also asked if we could get back together after that, and I think that's the reason. Our whole relationship, we kind of broke up and got back together. It's kind of what we did it wouldn't last long, maybe a day or two, maybe a couple hours. And I think that that's what he thought was going on, and he told me to move out. And so I did. But he told me he didn't want me to move out, you know. After that, he said, move out. And then he said, please don't, you know, like, I love you. And I decided to, you know, move out anyways. And that's when he went into the downward spiral. So yes, he told me to leave. And then asked me to stay anyways, I guess.
How long after he went into that downward spiral was it that he got his new girlfriend?
I don't really know the dates that they were dating.
Would you be surprised if they started dating in December?
No.
You moved out in December, right?
Yes.
But you would not be surprised if he had a new girlfriend in December?
No. Their rebound relationships come up like that all the time. And I was just wanting him to be happy. You know, I didn't want to be with him. He wanted me to come back, and I didn't want to. So if he had found somebody else that had made him happy, that's what I wanted for him.
Did you in any way interpret that text that he sent you? Did you in any way interpret that as he was going to do something that was really going to impress you?
No. I've never interpreted it that way.
That never crossed your mind?
No. What would he do that would impress me? Like, I guess I don't understand what you're asking.
I'll pass it.
Thank you, Roscoe.
You might.
Ms. Feland, I'm going to show you the rest of that portion that
Okay.
Mr. Cobb showed you.
Okay.
So on page 40, okay, and the next question after not from my knowledge, Mr. Bishop asked you, has he ever been treated by a mental health professional? And your answer was no, not to my knowledge.
Yes.
Or not like that, or something
Yeah.
like to that effect. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
And so that's what you were talking about.
Yes.
All right. So, with regard to the text message that he sent you, Mr. Cobb tried to imply that he was going to do something to impress you. Is that how you took that text message?
No. Again, I mentioned this earlier. I took the message as like a personal message for me. He was sad. We were both sad dealing with it together, and we would text each other things like that. The only difference about this one was that it was barely readable and everything was spelled wrong.
So before now, nobody's ever interpreted that message to you that way?
No. And I've never heard that before.
No more questions.
Hear me approach. Do you recall, you were asked a more specific question about Brandon being depressed during your sworn grand jury testimony.
Okay.
I want to have you go right there. The question was, hi, I just have a couple of quick questions. Would you, as a general rule, consider Brandon a depressed person? You see your answer?
Yeah, do you want me to read it? Sure. Okay, it says no, or not as a general rule, he had times when he got
Oh,
depressed.
just,
Okay.
When you read it, please read every word that's on
Oh,
there too.
not as a general rule, no. He had had times when he was depressed, mostly if he had gotten in trouble for something, you know, because he held himself kind of to a high standard, and he was like, I can do better than this, like, and he would say, I'm gonna buckle down, and he would. But not all the time depressed, more like just real quiet and reserved, but it wasn't like he was depressed quiet. It was like,
So that's the kind of depression, I'm sorry, we're on page 82.
those are the thoughts of depression that I was talking about.
Like getting in trouble at work or something like that?
If anything really didn't go well in his life, it would kind of trigger different things, but, and it's kind of true, I
You said
wouldn't,
in your testimony,
Yeah.
like you got in trouble.
Yeah, if he had gotten in trouble or his life wasn't going
He
well.
didn't say if his life wasn't going well.
Okay,
He said like if he gets in trouble.
okay,
That's what you said, right?
okay. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
making
yeah,
it up.
I read
I
it.
wish the prosecutor would let this witness answer the question that he's asking.
That's what I want her to do, answer the questions
You
I'm
want
asking.
to, like you want her to, or like she's done to?
No, we're talking to me, you need to look this way.
Well, I would ask the prosecutor to allow the witness to finish her answer before he interrupts her.
I think the last question was answered, am I incorrect?
You are correct, John. All right. So the person you're talking about in your grand jury testimony, the sworn testimony on April 13th of 2012, was a kind of quietness he would get after getting in trouble or something.
Well, that was an example of when he would get depressed. I believe I said, like, if this situation happened, he would get depressed. And like I was saying before, he would go through these, oh, sure.
You're not past the witness.
All right,
No further questions, Joe.
all right, thank you, you may step down.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury will be in recess for the day. I will see you again 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. You all would hold over for a second. Y'all have copies of this?
We already started when she came back in.
So just take a look at this for a moment, and then you all can go to that, and let me know the, changes, before we change anything of that. As far as the audience members goes, we are in recess. We're just looking over some legal paperwork to prepare us for tomorrow, but you're certainly free to leave if you choose to do so.
I know you will. You know, recycle.
Give to you.
There it is.
What did it do?
They probably said you can.
What do they know about the affiliation? All of that stuff very little. The charge probably, yeah. So we can keep going. No, I know.
Oh, okay. Oh, got it, okay.
Okay, guys, if y'all would approach, let's talk about the charge and the timing for tomorrow.